carry on. Okay, well, hey everybody. Welcome to the Outreach Committee meeting on July 24th. We are a community focused on open source license projects, securing data in use, and accelerating the adoption of confidential computing through open collaboration. Here in this meeting, every member and every project is welcome, and we are transparent and collaborative community. And we are under Linux Foundation. So this is the antitrust policy. For any of you have any questions regarding, feel free to reach out to LF staff, Rian or Ben on this call. Okay, today we are going to cover these items. We're going to spend some time on the brand repositioning, and we want to cover several events that's coming up, as well as use case report performance update. And then we'll kind of leave some space for any opens. Okay. All right.
I have received no feedback on the minutes, so unless there's any objections.
So, just a quick note: when we did the slide with the representatives, Joseph, do we need to put your name in for the ARM rep, or is that still fine?
So Mark's still relevant. If you wouldn't mind just putting me instead of Gemma, that would be appreciated.
We actually did. The slides just haven't refreshed for some reason.
Okay,
so you're
no worries.
we made a note to make sure you're on all the right mailing lists and everything too. So you're all set.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Sorry, Ben.
Okay. So this has been resolved. Okay.
Sorry, Kate.
That's okay. Ab and Rachel has been working behind the scene very hard on this working group. I'll just hand it over to you if you want to take it.
Sure. Yeah, so a couple of slides just as a refresher for those who are not familiar with the brand repositioning group. This is a working group that was set by the governing board to evolve the confidential computing brand as the adoption or the knowledge of the technology is better known now, and we're trying to basically transition from what is confidential computing to why it matters to businesses, and basically by highlighting use cases. So the working group's purpose is to create a marketing plan, and work with the different stakeholders within CCC, and especially on the outreach committee to implement that action plan. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, there's kind of a couple of objectives that we have that we set for ourselves. The first one is assessing the brand, positioning, identity, and their areas of improvement, and creating the plan and strategy and the action plan for it to do the repositioning. The strategy, I think we just covered that. Participation is really primarily from the CCC committee, TAG, and the governing board. And you can go next slide. I think we have much more representation. Thanks to everyone who joined the working group. That's on a volunteer basis, obviously. Dave Singh joined us since the last governing board meeting. Welcome to him. I don't know if he's on which attends to outreach or not. Yeah, we can go next one. So yeah, so basically this is what we're going to present to the governing board this afternoon, Eastern time. So Rachel has done a great job of the drafting the V1 of the strategy and action plan. and the link is shared here. And we'll talk a little bit. I'll hand it to Rachel after to speak to it. We had meetings, obviously three meetings so far. Now on a bi-weekly basis now. So the next one is next week. So we alternate with the outreach committee meeting. Just mentioning a couple of things we discussed in the working group, just the challenges for reference around the brand identity and the trademark, that things that will not prevent us from obviously doing the work, but it definitely added challenge to the mission and the objectives, especially around the brand identity. We talked about in the last meeting the lack of brand elements, including logo for the confidential computing, not the consortium. This is really the technology. And the descriptive nature of the brand name can be an advantage for clarity, but also a challenge at times in creating a unique brand identity. The length of the name as well, leading often, as we do at using the CC acronym. Yeah, so even within the consortium. And the trademark, we talked about it, we're basically just the work around that. Obviously, there's no to enforce anything, but the key, I think, will be around the messaging and the use cases. Yeah, so we have the preview of the action plan and tentative timeline that will be presented to the board this afternoon. I'll hand it to Rachel.
Thank you, Ab. And now I would like to present some of the action plans. And so first of all, and I'll start with our phase 1 action plan. And currently, Rianne is leading the effort to check with legal resources to investigate the possibility of trademarking confidential computing. We also plan to develop a messaging guide / new brand positioning document. And we're working on creating a detailed messaging guide that will outline key messages, value proposition, and use cases for confidential computing. In phase 1, we also plan to define KPIs and assess current brand positioning. We also include website and digital content optimization, where we plan to update and optimize our website and digital content to be more persona-driven and user-friendly. And lastly, in phase 1, we plan to reach out to industry analysts like Gartner and IDC to engage with our confidential computing value propositions and use cases and really identify the relevant industry analysts. And moving on to phase 2, and phase 2 has mostly the implementation. It has some of the action plan, including content marketing and distribution. We plan to work closely with outreach committee on content creation and distribution to develop high quality content to engage target audiences. We also plan to distribute content through various channels, including social media, newsletter, and industry publications. We also plan to host webinars and virtual events to discuss the benefits and applications of confidential computing. And during this implementation phase, we will continue to engage with relevant industry analysts. Lastly, in phase 3, phase 3 will involve reviewing our progress and making necessary adjustments. And here are some of the key activities. And first of all, we'll evaluate progress throughout the journey. And second of all, based on the constant evaluation, we'll refine our strategies throughout this process. And lastly, it will have ongoing engagement under that phase 3. And moving on to next slide, and let me break down these action plans into the timeline here. We have accomplished the first scoping phase, which is we've established the working group, and we've also completed the scoping and planning. We've kicked off initial phase 1 here, and we are looking at the July and August timeline to complete the phase 1, which is initial assessment and strategy development. And going on to September and November, that's where the implementation phase starts. And we plan to kick off the implementation phase in September. And lastly, for phase 3, we are planning for December of this year and early next year to review and make any adjustments of our strategy. And so here is our proposed action plan and timeline for this outreach committee and later on governing board to review. And we welcome any of the feedback. And please feel free to share your insights and comments and feedback with us. Thank you so much. And next slide, I'll hand off to App and to complete the presentation.
No, actually, that was last
so
one.
that's all for the working group. And so here are all the updates from brand repositioning working group. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, Ab and Rachel, and I remember in our working group call that you wanted to send a poll or you needed something from outreach committee. And was that in the plan? I forget what it was. It was a poll or something.
Yes, it's in the action plan. So it starts a poll, and then that has to do with brand audit and really kind of assessing the current brand. And last time when we brought the action plan for working group to review, and I think we're still finalizing that strategy. And if we do start a poll, that will be part of phase 2 implementation. And so that would be expected during September throughout November, where we actually start those implementation of the action plans.
There is some feedback in the chat if you want to discuss that.
Yeah, Mike just left a comment, and I feel like what we meant is what you're saying, Mike. I think, but this wording can be applied to our doc as well.
I guess, you know, because I say that just the initial reaction of seeing it on the page was the defensive lament of a technology that's on its heels rather than one that is, you know, forward leaning and growing in popularity. And so I think it may not matter ultimately to the deliverable, but I think it would be maybe helpful to the mindset of the work if it's more a forward lean. Hey, let me tell you what we can do for you. Let me tell you what goals you can achieve with conventional computing, rather than here's why it matters.
Yep.
I think that's fair. I think, yeah, you say it's about mindset.
Yeah, no, I thanks. Actually, this is very good feedback. I agree with that. We can adjust that. Just the approach so that we are in the right mindset, not in the defensive, which we were not. But point taken. I think that matters.
Yeah,
it does matter.
Like I said, it may not ultimately, may not change the output, but it might. I don't know. It might not do anything.
No. It's, you know, words matters, right? Matter, right? So, and I think for the mindset of the working group, I think that's actually good. So it's a good idea to adjust it. So
agree. It went further to the audience or receiver of this point.
Rian, may I ask where we are on this legal question? I'd quite like to be kept in the loop on that, please.
Yeah, we did ask again, I think a week ago, and we haven't received feedback yet. They're a little slow on responding.
Okay. So yeah, okay, fine. If you could just make sure that I'm at least vaguely kept in the loop, I think that'd be good.
Yeah, as soon as we get feedback.
So we've got two threads going here. Like we haven't gotten a response via our ticketing system that legal reviews every week. And so I also directly reached out to our trademark attorney. And so hopefully we'll get an answer from him.
Thank you very much. Great work, folks. I'm really pleased this is happening. I think it's overdue, and this is really part of what this group particularly is pushing. So I really appreciate it, and I'm really pleased that we've got good involvement from a variety of people now. I think that was missing. So thank you everyone who's got involved and people who started off and have kept going with it. So great work. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're up. Bye.
Okay, yeah. So last week I was in Singapore for the PET Summit, Asia Pac. Jesse Schrater from Intel was also there. He joined me, and we were involved with quite a few different panels and other things on there. We were basically the secondary sponsor. The main sponsor is the IMDA, which is kind of like it's a Singaporean government agency pushing all things sort of regulatory and standards and technical sort of digital transformation stuff. So they're really important people in Singapore, which sees itself as very much a forward-looking technology country. And so they kicked things off, and then I had a little introduction after that, and then we kind of moved on from there. So I guess with that, we had 6 different ways in which we were involved. Lots of interest there. It was very well attended, and there's definitely growing interest in the region. We had a fair amount of government and NGO interest from Singapore, from India, from ASEAN, which is a kind of a conglomeration of the countries in that region, all showing an interest in what we're doing and in confidential computing and in PETs generally. And I have done some work today to look at how to follow up. I got sort of 15 or so leads, possible memberships from that, which I was very, very pleased about. A good number of whom are potential members. Another thing is I have information from a sort of not quite a member yet, but is hoping to become a member, that it looks like Japan really might be about to take off in terms of confidential computing. So if you're a company who has business in Japan, particularly, I would love to hear your thoughts, either in this forum or directly to me, because it's a really interesting place. And if we can get Japan working, I think that would be a really good bouncing off point for Asia generally, because it's often seen as a leader in that area, I believe. And the other thing that kept coming up was regulator involvement. There's a lot of people bemoaning, saying, "Oh, we don't know what's best practice is, and we don't know what to say. If you do this, the regulator will be happy." And I think this just underpins the importance of the work that we're doing in the GRC SIG, which is kind of underneath the TAC, and would encourage anyone who is anywhere involved in regulation or governance to either attend that themselves or to make sure that someone else from their organization is involved. We really need to get this going, and it's very difficult to do, particularly as a smaller company. Some of the larger companies like Intel, I know, are doing great work engaging with them, but I think we'll do a better job if we do it as an organization, a consortium. So let's all hit on that together. But it was it's kind of a really buzzing atmosphere, lots going on. We published a blog post in the same week. I think that's gone out, hasn't it, Kate?
I think so.
Yeah, or if not that week, then immediately the week after. And so, I think it was very much a worthwhile thing to be involved with. So I was very pleased with it. I was also in Seoul for a few meetings the week before, with Samsung, who's a member, but also with another potential member. And so that is also looking plausible. So any questions around that? Please feel free to ask now, or just mail me later on, whatever you prefer, but I'm happy to take questions now, of course.
Just talking to Jesse. Well, just real quick, I was just talking to Jesse yesterday, and he said that it was because he's been to I don't know if he's been to the Singapore one, but he's been to a couple of the privacy enhancing technology summits, and he said that this was the first one that seemed to have, a significant stake in confidential computing. That before up until now, it's been homomorphic and secure multi-party, and that's about it. And he said this one was, confidential computing was at least a solid 30-40% of the mind share, if not more.
Yeah, and that is partly because the boat is rising, and partly because of the work we've done on the sponsorship and making sure that we're really well represented. So thank you to everyone involved, and Kate and Rian particularly pushing on getting the summit visible. So yes, I agree with that. I think that's a due to a number of factors, but I think we can take some of the credit.
Yeah,
so well done, everyone involved with that.
I totally agree, and I was going to also say that because CCC was involved from last year, from the Asia Pacific Summit. So I think Jesse's last one was in New York last year, which was before we were even engaged. And so it's really nice to see the progress and the outcome.
Yep.
I was going to ask you, Mike, so from really glad to hear all these engagement from various different and groups and verticals. When you say Japan is going to really take off for quantum computing, so we were thinking about engaging or perhaps going to be in Japan for an event or things like that. Is this something that you have in mind?
Yeah, so OSS Japan is in October, I think, and we should definitely be engaging with that. I know we've got a few speaker sessions that we're hoping to put in. I know I'm planning to do that. I must remind myself to do that tomorrow, actually, to do some submissions. But if I'm particularly looking to do some panel sessions. So if you're planning to be at OSS Japan, or you have colleagues who are over there, please talk to me because I'd love to put together some panel sessions, and I know that Sal is also looking at doing some of that too. So and of course, put in your own sessions, whether they're panel sessions or not. No, don't let me stop you. So yeah, would love to be doing that. Thank you.
Good question, Mike. Just can you qualify a little bit more? Looks like Japan might about to take off for CCC. Are you talking about companies joining the CCC or just? So
I'm not sure how much information I can give about this. One of the startups who I spent some time with over there, a non-Japanese based startup, and one of their senior folks has spent 14 months in Japan. Not because they're struggling to break it, but just because there's so much going on there, and really feels that there's a number of POCs that are about to fall and start becoming visible, and that the banking sector in particular is really interested in this. So this was not just a CCC thing; it's absolutely a confidential computing thing, and it's not PETS either. It is CC that is being talked about.
Okay, thanks.
I don't feel I can. It wasn't told to me necessarily in confidence, but I think it's not information I can just share. I'm afraid who that came from.
No problem. No problem. Thanks. Actually, that answers the question. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions?
I was just checking the website. So OSS Japan's CFP looks like it's closed. So
it did close on the 7th, but I've had a couple of other projects that wanted to get some submissions in. So there is a private link that we can use. So Mike, I can Slack that to you.
If you would, please don't Slack it. Please email it to me. I don't get Slack all the time, so please email it. That'd be really helpful. Thank you. I'm sorry I missed it. I may have already put something in, but I don't think I have. So that would be hugely useful. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, I'll send you a quick email.
That's great. Thank
you. Another opportunity that we can leverage if there is enough interest is to pursue a similar concept as OSS EU, where we can host a mini summit there. There will be added costs, which then can help check the cost. But we're only going to do that if there is enough members' interest and participation, because in order to build the mini summit agenda, there's enough effort needs to go in.
Which I think that brings us to another topic you want to discuss. Am I right?
That is correct. Okay. So as y'all know, we are hosting mini summit at OSS EU. It's happening in Austria, Vienna, Austria, and on September 19. So we have been getting some submissions. We can host up to 6 sessions in our mini summit allocated time. We have a couple more spots to fill. So, and I have also emailed separately to some of you and all of the outreach committee as well, but I'm not actually seeing as much as the results as I expected. Last year, I was just looking through, we had a really great content that we covered at the summit. I can dig in and find the detail of the content, but we would, first of all, we want to know if you're going to be there, OSS EU, your company rep, perhaps located in the region in Europe, will be there, or would be interested in speaking at the mini summit. So that's one. And there's a link is attached to this agenda here, so we can submit your talk, an idea, what you would like to speak to. And the second part is that because of our sponsorship, we are getting 10 by 10 booth space, but we are not going to perhaps do that if we don't have a member's interest in taking and using this booth space, if that makes sense. And for this, for some of the companies that does not have a booth space, for example, and wanted a booth space, this would be a perfect opportunity to leverage this as well.
So what I'm hearing, Kate, is that we're not currently planning to do this unless there's demand. So if there is demand, please let Kate know as soon as possible. Is that correct?
Yes, because we have a very limited budget that we're working with. I would rather spend it towards what is prioritized. This definitely we can pull this off on, you know, but we need to have a member's participation and interest. If no one actually wants to be there, I don't think it's worth spending money on the booth.
Agreed.
I will just make just a quick note on the last slide. So there is general interest in a panel on attestation, and we're hoping to get that together. I'm agnostic where we present that, even if it's a webinar, but if you are interested in that, please reach out to Mark or myself, and we'll find the right place to handle that.
So I think I suggested that and asked Mark to be on it. Is that a different thing or is that the same thing?
I think it's the same. It's just an attestation panel for the mini summit. So
good. That's fine. Just checking that we weren't cross purposes. It's all good.
Okay, so that was one of the session that you're proposing for the mini summit?
Yes, so they'll definitely be submitting a panel. And this is just a call. If anyone wants to join in on that panel, contact Mark or we can connect you.
I've got other topics as well, Kate, so don't worry about that.
Right. And I need to mention, so with the sponsorship, we actually do get a regular session at the main conference. So would definitely love to plan that out. And we probably would leverage the speakers from the mini summit to include in our main sessions as well. So that's something I forgot to put it on there. But
yeah, so again, that's something that I'm happy to present on my own, but I much prefer doing panels. Panels go down very well in these sorts of situations. So much happier doing a multi-person thing. So yeah, if we can get people together, that would be great.
Okay. So there is a rest of this year, there are a couple of events that in our tracker. So one is KubeCon North America, and the other one was OSS Japan. I didn't even include it because there was added cost involved. But regardless, so for us to pursue any of these events, either or both KubeCon North America or OSS Japan, we for KubeCon, despite what level of a sponsorship you do, we cannot afford to do the diamond. It does not give us a speaking session. It will give us a space on the show floor, which like we're sharing same sentiment where, you know, if it is worth it for any member company to use that space, we would be happy to pursue this. So that's kind of where we're at. And versus Japan, we have to kind of come back after we get the quote. But
and the other thing is, you know, if you're a large company and you have a booth and you'd be happy to host the CCC, that would also be great.
I think with, you know, you look at CC Summit and, you know, there were two topics that dominated. It was confidential AI and confidential containers. So losing the KubeCon opportunity would be tragic. And we've got several companies that are you know, very container focused. I'm kind of looking at you, Edgeless Systems. But this, I mean, it would be really interesting, I think, to put forward, you know, a CCC presence here and feature things like demonstrations of confidential containers, maybe featuring Edgeless products, because, you know, they are focused in this area, and you know, have
and I would,
today.
you know, I would absolutely add, you know, SUSE and Red Hat as well to that list, right? It's absolutely not just our friends at Edgeless. There's other folks too.
Yeah, I mean, the more, you know, definitely the more solutions, the merrier. That's, you know, don't count my lack of awareness as you know, trying to exclude others, but
yeah, I agree. I mean, we are also focusing a lot on confidential containers on ARM. So yeah, that would be great.
And just in our conversations with customers, it always winds up here. It's as, you know, it's like, how do I do this in a containerized environment? And, you know, if we can find, you know, if we can find a way to make this one happen, that way, I think it would be an opportunity seized rather than an opportunity lost.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. I mean, one way of attacking this is to just get a quick roll call right now and say, you know, what companies are doing containers and or are looking to attend KubeCon North America this year, and get a kind of mini working group just to you know, to do this, to make this happen and sort things out. Is that worth doing or not?
Yeah, I would push for this. And since I'm speaking from Edgeless, so we are not going to participate in a sense of sponsoring booths as well. But I know that some colleague of mine definitely have submitted, and so we are participating in that more speaker sense. But then, of course, if we had some space, then also that would be very, like, we would be happy to participate.
Okay, so Edgeless saying they'd love to have a booth and being able to do that. Who else? I mean, have we got any from SUSE here today? I've lost track of who's with whom.
I would just second that from Invery. We've been considering what sponsorship looks like for KubeCon. We want to be there. As well as speaking about attestation with ARM is something we're very interested in. So both of those opportunities are something we definitely want to pursue.
Okay, that's two. I'm guessing that Google and Intel will be there as well.
Yeah.
Leonardo is not going to sponsor, as far as I know, but we would be interested to join the discussion.
Okay, so we're up to 5 or 6. Let's. I see a sort of mini mailing list arising here, but it sounds like we've probably got enough a momentum just from these folks who say they want to be involved to make it worthwhile.
Okay.
What do we think?
Glad to hear. And it sounds like we're gonna move forward with it.
And when we say that, what I'm hoping to hear is people will bring materials and a video for the booth. B, agree to staff the booth for some of the time. That's kind of the deal, right? If we're going to do this, we expect people to turn up and be visible and make that happen, which I hope is hugely in everyone's best interest, right? But we need to be clear that's what we're looking for.
Correct. And I think I would encourage everyone to think of this as like you're using this booth for let's say like 4 hours or 3 or 4 hours or 5 hours, however we allocate the times, and then it's up to you. And then you can showcase, you can do demo, whatever you want to do in that space, it's up to you. So we can coordinate something similar to what we did at RSA. RSA was a little bit more general. We did the digital content on rotation on the screen, but we can curate however we want to do for this booth space. The key is that we will have a space, and how do we want to leverage this, right? And as long as we have this buy-in from the companies that are interested and that are going to be participated, the coordination can happen easily.
So I see that Lara said that she's interested. Rian, could you just collect a list of the people who've said they're interested and send an email out to all of them saying hi? Sal also asks if we could do a passport. If we like that from RSA, then we should do it again. Absolutely.
We can definitely do that. I love that idea. I love that activity.
Thanks, Sal.
Yeah, what that means is just a little printed page, and it says everyone's booths, and then also we highlight any times for talks. Make sure that someone that's just learning or wants everything about CC at KubeCon, let us know where you're.
And a QR code and that sort of stuff, right?
We make it as easy as possible. So get us your speaker lineup, and we will get it out to everyone.
Cool.
Really glad to hear.
Also communicate when we send out the minutes that anybody else that's interested, we can basically build up a booth presence.
Yeah, let's raise this in the GB in a few minutes time, and also the TAC tomorrow. If you could maybe make a note, Rian or Ben.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for the discussion. And now I'm going to pass it over to Jen.
Okay. I want to just share with you all our initial use case, social metrics and so forth. So on this first one, we launched this just right after the 4th of July, the case for confidential computing. We've got over 1,000 impressions, 10% engagement rate. That's the highest we've had off of any post since I started working with you all.
Cool.
The clicks are good. The reposts are good. That being said, if you haven't had a chance to amplify this report yet, all the links are right here at the bottom. Would love to have you all utilize your own social networks to get the word out about this this report. So this was the first one that we did on the 8th, and then if you want to go to the next slide.
Can I ask a quick question, Jen? How do we feel about that click through, globally rather than just for the CCC? How do you think that's looking?
It's a good rate compared to the other blog posts. Personally, I think it should be higher. I'm trying to play around a little bit with our copy just to try to create better sense of people wanting to click on it, because I think once they see it and they go to it, it's much easier to keep them there. So I personally really want that click-through rate higher. So, but it is a good click-through rate. That being said,
thank you.
I personally
quick question. So I know this was published on the Linux Foundation's research page, right?
Yes.
Do we know what the performance of that
I don't have metrics for that yet. I asked, and the person that can get me that info has been out of office. So as soon as I get that info, I'll let you all know.
Okay.
So
and also, can we make sure on that site, on that page, there is a link to bring the audience back to CCC website?
On the page, meaning the post, or
of the report on the Linux Foundation.
I will make that request. That should be easy to do. I think Anna can probably do that.
Okay.
Perfect. This was our second post using the infographics, and this was done on the 15th. Again, click-through rate on this one is lower. That being said, I've pinned the initial post to the top of the page, so I think the click rates are going through there. But again, it's just a different visual, if you will. So help us amplify on that. And again, the links are all there for you all. And then the one that I just did yesterday, if you want to go to the next slide, is our first use case. And just posted this yesterday. So the goal here is to do highlight a use case every week. Curious for this group. I'm happy to post more often. I'm just kind of feeling we're kind of at the tail end of people's vacations and whatnot. So really it's more of a question for the group. I can post a use case every week. I can post them twice a week. Just kind of want to get a sense of what you all feel comfortable with in terms of cadence posting on social.
Twice a week feels quite short.
I personally feel like people will check LinkedIn and social media way more than like work email. For example, even on the road or whatever, I am on it, and I feel like a lot of people are on the social media, so it doesn't really matter so much of the holiday or the summer vacation. I don't know. I think once a week is bare minimum, and yeah, it doesn't have to be. I feel like every time it's like a big a separate blog post of each use cases or whatnot. You can post this once a week and then have I don't know, kind of grab a quote or something, snippet of something that we can leverage so that we can increase the momentum. I feel like that would be good.
Yeah, so one of the thoughts that I had was, so we posted this one yesterday, then tomorrow I would take something from the case study and pop that into the second post of the week. That's kind of where my thinking is. I just kind of wanted to run it by all of you before I go there. But if that sounds good to you, then we'll do that. I've also asked Vinny and a couple other folks if they would maybe do a little short video intro about the case study. Vinny's going to get me something, so as soon as I get that from her, I can do a little editing if need be, and then hopefully I can get some of the other folks to participate. But I think she could be our first one.
I love that.
Yeah, nice.
Great. And then just the last slide, so you know, I'll change this. But if anybody ever wants to see the content calendar, the link is right here. You can always populate and put a little note in there, or you can just ping me or use the content submission. But this kind of gives you a sense of kind of how things are looking in terms of content for July, August. Be great to get some additional content beyond what we have here. I know we want to push the case studies, but it's also great to put other things in there. So let me know what you all need.
Thank you so much.
Quick update on the budget. I think the main thing to pay attention to here is the outreach event remaining funds. I would say you shouldn't spend any more. And what I mean by that is you've got a buffer of 20 grand, right? So included in here, I should mention, is a forecast for OSS EU. KubeCon is included in here if we decide to do that. So is OSS Japan. So those are in.
That's helpful to know. Okay, I was worrying about that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I will say that we don't have a huge margin of error. Like we estimated the costs for those 3 events at about $30,000, right? That includes the cost of sponsorship, that includes a low level of support from the events team, which we would absolutely need for something like KubeCon, and probably would need for OSS Japan. So
and equipment, so like monitors and any type of stools or desk that cost arms and legs there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to discuss some like what other events have cost us in the past, but like non Linux Foundation events tend to be more expensive. Like RSA was more than we thought. So we just have to be mindful of that, and we may like have to make some swag sacrifices, right? Things like that. But the events are totally doable. The important thing is having the booth, right? And being present and having the sponsorship. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I would say we just got to watch this carefully because you don't have a huge buffer for the remainder of the year. But that's good, right? We want to spend our money efficiently, so we're doing that.
Yeah, please keep us appraised of where we are with this. We need to be careful and responsible, right? This is everyone's money.
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
Okay, thanks, Ben, for tracking. Any opens? If there are no other thoughts, okay, I see Yulia actually joined. Hey, Yulia.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, just wanted to say hi. I was just welcoming all the new members in the call in the beginning. I just see you joined in the middle of the call, so welcome.
Thank you very much. Sorry for being late.
Oh, no worries. Glad to have you. So we will end the meeting here. Some of us have to hop to another long call now. So we'll end it here. If Rian will gather and summarize the minute from this meeting and share the agenda as well as the action item, anything that was discussed today. Other than that, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Rian or Ben or myself, kate.george@intel.com. If you have any other thoughts, let me know. Okay.
Thanks very much indeed, everyone. See you
Thanks,
soon.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right,
Bye, everyone.